do authoritarian regimes like what Kim Jong Un, not Kim Jong Un, Xi Jinping has done as well. Yeah, we now turn to the 2020 campaign where Bernie Sanders is getting a little frisky. He's slamming the Post, and I honestly, who's to think that may not work for him, because the media has been, I think, exceptionally bad, at least this cycle, in covering Bernie Sanders, especially as of late. Whether it be Bernie blackouts, pretty much not acknowledging anything that he's done. I mean, he literally, like, there was a piece written, I think, in The Atlantic about how the left needs to make a new populist front, ignoring the fact that one exists and Bernie Sanders is its leader. He says about the Washington Post, accusing the newspaper of being biased against his campaign due to his criticism of Amazon's labor practices and tax record. Saying, quote, I talk all the time about that. I talk about that all the time. And then I wonder why the Washington Post, which is owned by Jeff Bezos, doesn't write particularly good articles about me. I don't know why, but I guess maybe there's a connection. Oh, yeah, so he said, I guess maybe, but that means there definitely is a connection. It's the Amazon Washington Post, exactly like Trump said. Bernie's no different from Trump. Bernie's the same thing as Trump, and Bernie's equally awful. Like, that's the jump the media makes. It's that simple, you see. Maybe we helped raise the minimum wage in Amazon to $15 an hour as well, which he did. Martin Barron, the Post editor, said Senator Sanders is a member of a large club of politicians of every ideology who can't complain about their coverage. Whatever. He said, Bernie had a conspiracy theory just for making like a brief suggestion based entirely on facts. So I think apparently they have the story here that Sanders didn't like Sean Sullivan on how the top campaign management was battling with United Field organizers over a $15 hour minimum wage. That is interesting. We don't even know the full deal on that, but again, I think it's very interesting to take a look at that, because I mean, you got people like, for example, Sydney Ember. This is not the New York Times, but this is in the New York Times, but not the Washington Post, which was a really, really egregious story yesterday, saying that Bernie Sanders didn't pretty much talk to anyone at the time he was at the Iowa State Fair this past weekend. That's what he did. He didn't talk to anybody at the Iowa State Fair, and that he spoke to a crowd that was not as big as Elizabeth Warren's folks. It was tiny. But again, there are multiple people who tweeted out, including like well-verified reporters, people who worked at the soapbox and have for many years. This is the biggest crowd we've seen all day. But again, it is so stupid. It's the idea that you're trying to marginalize him, you're trying to silence him, you're trying to push him off to the side. And if you look into any coverage of Bernie Sanders, at least by the media, I think you will very easily and very effectively notice that trend happening. All right. On that note, it's time to say so long. Thank you so much for joining us here today. This has been The Wake Up.